The God King has fallen. The Empire is in despair. Brother fights against brother as the ruinous cults sweep through the stars. The very fabric of reality trembles before the onslaught of demonic swarms. Deep within the Imperial core world, one final hope exists: to rekindle the flames of the Vault of Souls. To the Empire, you are a blasphemer. To the cults, you are a heretic. Trust no one. Let none stop you from bringing the renegades of this forsaken realm to their destined annihilation. Welcome to Void Wars. So, there aren't many FTL-like games. There's that one pirate one I've vaguely heard about. And of course, you know, there's mods like that one with the multi-something or other. But this is the first game I've really ever seen that's attempting to be a true spiritual successor to FTL. I mean, the gameplay is awfully similar. A lot of the upgrades are pretty much the same price as FTL. It's pretty heavily FTL. It's FTL, except it's in a grimdark future. If you look up videos for this, they're all pretty much Let's Plays, and they're all saying, it's 40k FTL, isn't it? We got Space Marines, we got Lowlives, we got Tech Priests. Hey, listen, I'm a big 40k guy, old lore, that is. And you know what? The lore is way better than the wargame itself. The wargame sucks. However, lore is good, and we like that lore. And we like that lore in FTL. That's one thing FTL was sorely missing. It had a lot of kind of background lore, but it wasn't that deep. This, however, there's a big focus on lore. Heck, you can hover over basically anything, and there's a lore tidbit at the bottom. That's really neat. And while you can turn that off, well, I think that's a big appeal for this game. Oh, right. Well, this game's an early alpha, and it's made by a dev team of 2 fellas. I don't know their names. I don't know anything about them. All I know is it says on the back or alpha little tidbit, it's a 2-man team with no experience, no money, and no resources. Bless their hearts. This is a lot, and considering it's only 2 men, it is extraordinarily impressive what they've managed to put out. And I gotta say, I'm a huge fan. I love this so far. I actually tried searching. I'm like, ooh, is there a little wiki for me to crawl through? And I found this wiki about like Lego people battling in space, and like there's elder gods. I don't know, but the name's also Void Wars. I want to make a video discussing Void Wars a little bit, you know? I've already done my my soy jacking at playing the game for the first time in my Discord. But let's actually talk about some things, some differences from FTL, some things that have really stood out to me. There's a lot. This isn't a carbon copy of FTL. It definitely has its own spin on stuff. There's a lot of uniqueness also beyond what I'm going to talk about, but, you know, these are little things that have stood out to me. To begin with... Motherfucker! Who texted me? Okay. To begin with... I really like that it's a one-room command throne for piloting the ship, rather than the big old piloting system up front. Very 40k. Very cool. Listen, I'm a little YouTuber. I may be small, but I have a big ego still. So I'm obviously going to give my thoughts on everything as I go. But once again, 2-man dev team, they're awfully busy. Goodness. I'm really just some schmuck ranting about Void Wars, But yeah, I'm going to tell you things. One thing for the command throne. So, anyone can sit on the command throne, right, to pilot the ship. Personally, I think your captains, which we'll get to that in a moment, I think they should have like full piloting ability on it. Meanwhile, if you have like lesser crew sit on it, you know, depending on what they are, they have a less chance of piloting it well, or maybe even a better chance depending on their crew type. Like if you have a psyker sitting on the command throne, maybe that might be a little too much work to implement. Maybe not. Just a little thought I had there. Next, captains are unique, right? And they're very powerful. If they die, you lose the game. They represent you. So, keep them alive. Generally, though, they can do things that other normal crew members can't. Like your starting one is an ancient translocator, which allows them to teleport really fast, which is really cool. The machine cult one, which I can't remember for the life of me. I probably should have written it down. He's just generally cool, you know, suffocation and poison resistant. He repairs super quick. His portrait is also incredible. Goodness, that's something to say, too. The crew portraits in this game are excellent. amazing. It really adds a ton to the game. And something to note too, I have not seen any females in this game.
But sir, there is, pardon me, female creatures on the planet.
Frauenkreaturen!
Female creatures!
Female creatures!
Female creatures!
In any case, keep some semblance of structure looping back around. Shops are neat. You can actually attack shops in this game. However, their merchandise is often rigged to explode. At the very least, I've never gotten anything great out of it. Their ships are heavily fortified, and they don't give you a lot of scrap. So, you can attack them. It's not generally worth it. But they're neat. So there's a bunch of different types, like arms brokers or, military contractors, one specializing in psychomancy. And you can actually see what types of things they're selling, whether they're selling crew, various weapons, consumables, whatever. It'll tell you if you hover over them on the map. Speaking of maps, the map is, well, there's a lot of branching paths, right? You can't go backwards, though, even though there's no one chasing you. And you can see what's ahead, whether that's shops or a shrine or listening post. And often, if, there's going to be like solar storms, there's an ion storm, it's near a sun, it's fire. It'll let you know that before you jump there. At the end of Stargate, and dang, the Stargate map looks really cool. That's the thing with this game. It's all very atmospheric. It blends the style together very well. Kind of like Gothic architecture built right into the display. There we go, that's the word we're looking for. Gothic architecture built into the display. Very well done. So crews don't level up any skills, right? It's not like a Mantis, right, where it will get better at fighting over time and do more damage. They're just static unless you give them equipment. They have their starting abilities, and you can give them more through equipment, which we'll get into. However, systems do get a static bonus from anyone piloting them, no matter what they are, unless they specifically say that they can't pilot, which mostly weird demon units can't do that. Yeah, they're demons here. I won't be talking too much about demons. Oh, goodness. Oh, and another notable thing, too. So, oxygen does not drain instantly when you, start to void your ship, You open the doors to the void and it drains, not instantly, awfully quickly. Just a little note from FTL. And missiles are a separate system from, the energy weapon system, right? So beam and energy weapons are their own thing. And missiles are also their own thing. They're completely separate. You have to buy a module or have them pre-installed on your ship. It's interesting. And you can only have one missile template at a time, meaning that if you have different types of missiles, well, you're going to have to switch them out mid-battle. And along with this, too, it adds lance weapons, which are part of the quote-unquote normal non-missile weapons. So they're limited. They come pre-charged at the beginning of every battle, and they are extremely powerful. They ignore shields and have some interesting effect, like causing fire or breach or just doing a pretty good amount of crew damage. I really like that, being able to lance your enemies from the side, essentially. And right at the beginning of battle, too, Jeepers, it's a battle shock. It's very good for supporting boarding crew, which we'll get to in a little bit, too. Okay, actually, on top of that, there's lots of awesome weapons, like the Grave Beam, where it does damage and spawns in, thralls and undead in every room it hits. Also awesome for boarding, which I guess let's talk about it here. Goodness, in the grim far future, melee is king, and that holds true for this grim far future. In any case, melee's very complex, and it's highly encouraged in this game. And considering it's probably my favorite FTL strategy, I'm most pleased. Most weapons like the Grave Beam and Psychic Powers, which require Psychic crew to use, and you can swap them out, and they're like brain chips and stuff. They're made to support boarding. You can just blow up ships, but listen, boarding's more fun and more profitable. Going towards supporting boarding, like I said, the crew have lots of uniqueness. Some of them have innate abilities, like they'll, lower the damage per second, and that's how you track how much damage is done in this game. You can see both yours and the enemies. Some will increase damage per second, some will decrease the enemies. Lots of wackiness, goes into crew abilities. Maybe they're immune to fire, so you can set that room on fire and they can safely fight in it. Or, there are Raiders in Void suits, so they're immune to, oxygen-deprived areas. So, destroy their oxygen system and have your crew come aboard and start, annihilating them. But depending on the crew type, they'll have equipment slots, and they'll have more or less of certain equipment slots depending on their faction or, I guess, their quality, their strengths. Like the Berserkers, right? They have 2 weapon slots. Meanwhile, the starting captain, the Exile, he has a tool, armor, and weapon slot. So some crew members are more versatile than others are more specialized. It's neat. Oh, and tools. That's something really unique about this. So tools, they could be things that, do weird abilities that aren't really armor or damage, or they could be consumables like med packs, which heal your crew for a ton, which is very useful, by the way. There is a med bay, but it's this weird pulse one and it's limited. Your crew heal just about 15% of their max HP every jump. So being able to instantly heal all of your crew members in one room is incredible. Also, there's ones to actually repair your ship, little consumables. It's interesting. And oh boy, machine slaves, servitors. I will get to them in a moment. Well, anyway, to begin boarding though, it's not teleportation over. You send your crew to the launch bay, and then you load them into an assault sled, which can hold 2 to 4 of your crew depending on how many upgrades. And it essentially slams into the side of the enemy ship, and, well, you board them. Now, there are limited areas that you can board, and every time you slam a sled into the ship, you can't slam it in the same place again. So, be careful. Although, you're generally going to kill them after the first 1 or 2. And then you can teleport your crew away instantly, too, whenever you're feeling a little about them. And I don't know how it makes me feel that you can do that instantly. I feel like there should be a little timer, so you actually have to think about it a little bit more, rather than just going, whoop, they're gone. I mean, sure, if they're poisoned or they're taking fire damage, maybe they can die during teleportation. And along with that, too, limited slamming slots for your assault sled. But I've never used them all. I've always gotten my crew out safe and sound, unless I'm not really paying attention. Maybe if they're like a 5-second timer. I think that'd be much better. Oh, yeah! And speaking of random things, too, I really so when your crew are fighting in a room with systems and they kill someone or someone dies, that system takes 1 damage from, the fight going on inside of it. I like that a lot. That's very unique. But also, it means you have to watch out for the enemy health so you don't blow yourself up while you're on their ship. I do like that quite a lot. Oh, yeah, so, going on to other things. There are these rest areas where you could either repair 10 hull, scavenge some munitions, so, your missiles, heal your crew completely, which is very nice considering, only 15 per jump, or construct a machine slave. It's very weak, and it can man systems, which is great for when you send your crew boarding over. They're servitors. And I like that a lot, having servitors essentially slave to systems where they don't really move and they're just, operating it while your strong crew are up beating people up. It's neat. It's really cool. Oh, and demon ships too, where they don't have any oxygen and they're piloted by a big beating heart, which heals systems very quickly because, you don't need crew in there to start repairing. They're really cool. And also, there's unique final, flagship battles. It's not the Rebel flagship, so to speak, every single time. It's of the different, ruinous cults. So, the, chromatic? Okay, we have the red ones that like to punch things, and we have the green ones with, death and poison. In any case, multiple final fights. Very, very cool. Oh, goodness. This game is very long, though. The, itch.io page says each run can be about 3 to 5 hours, and that's about right. Oh, goodness. I'm not good at sitting down and doing that for a long time, at least when it comes to video games. I always do them in bursts. Although I will say, you can probably get it in maybe an hour and a half. If you, go Insano style like me, where you're you're just freaking out, you're foaming at the mouth. If you're an experienced FTL player, it will be much shorter. Still, it is noticeably long. Okay, so, I gotta sit up in my chair for this one. There are various factions in this game, right? There's ways to get modules on your ships to give those all those factions buffs. You have... Listen, I don't remember exactly what their names are in games, so I'll just give you the 40k equivalents. You got your Machine Cult, you got your Adeptus Mechanicus, and they're a little separated from the Imperium of Man, which are, I think it's just the Imperium, as I said. You got your Death Cult, you got your Corn guys, and you got your Raiders. And even though in the beginning it says you're a renegade, essentially hated and mistrusted by everyone, I would like to see the faction system become more robust, where maybe... Listen, maybe an Imperial recruit will be scared enough to not, let a giant corn space marine, you wouldn't talk back to him, but, if you get another Imperial space marine type on board with the corn one, I don't see them getting along, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just desperate times, desperate measures, but I would like to see a bit more of the faction interaction happen, where you gotta specialize more towards one or the other depending on your ships or loadout. You know, where General Chaos will work together, the Khorne and Death Guard type guys. Meanwhile, you know, the Techno cults, that's what they're called. The Machine cults and the Imperium generally work together. And maybe there's some overlap depending on your starting ship. Or there are also waypoints where you can pledge yourselves to various factions. And right now, all that really does is make them appear more often in shops, like units and weapons and, you know, general armaments that those ships would have. I would really like to see that expanded where maybe, okay, you pledge yourself to one, because you can pledge yourself to multiple right now. Pledge yourself to one, no more pledging. You get your boon, maybe your captain changes, get some stats to reflect, you know, his new allegiances. And the shops then pretty much exclusively, it's either like non-faction assigned arms and then just faction assigned arms. I would like to see more commitment, essentially, because right now, you know, I'll pledge myself to the Machine Cult. Ooh, I'll pledge myself to the Ruinous Powers also, next jump. The rewards aren't great right now, in all fairness, for doing that. They're nice, but, you know, not the best. But I would like to see more faction interaction where, when you make a hard choice, the boons are much greater, but so, you know, the choices are a little more limited now. But maybe you're fine with just getting normal Space Marines that cause fires upon death. That's pretty cool. So. This has been long. This has been rambling. That's a little unlucky, but that's okay. In any case, I very much like Void Wars. It's $15 right now. They say you'll be able to transfer over to Steam once, you know, it actually gets released. It's an early alpha. Like I said, $15. It's a two-man team. They're doing their best, and goodness gracious, it's extremely impressive what they have right now. Very, very exciting. If you've played FTL a ton, and still continue to do it, Void War gives some much needed spice, so to speak, into it. Highly recommend. Go look at it now. I wasn't sponsored. I bought this on my own. So all the bias is mine, no one else's. But with that, if you want to support me, you can go to my Ko-Fi. If you want to talk to me, you can join my Discord. It gets awfully quiet sometimes, so that's because I'm lurking, and people know, I'm a creature. Alright, you all have a great day. And I'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.